Mixed reaction about tonight's Raw. Not, a very good Raw match-wise, but you had a lot of moments in there which were pretty good, and for the most part, I was entertained. Let's get right to it. So we start off the show with Del Rio coming out. As I said in my payback review, biggest mistake ever. Just, I don't know where the fuck their heads were at. They were going for something very bizarre at payback. I don't know quite what they were looking for, but altogether it was a fail. And most intelligent people agree that it was a mistake. I see a lot of people trying to, try to cover the fact up and say it was a great match and all that. Liars. We have a lot of liars here in the YWC. A horrible decision, and Del Rio is not over. It's never been over, and, Del Rio even acknowledges it in his fucking promo that he hasn't been over. He says when he was a babyface, the fans weren't even with him, and that's exactly the point. He's never been over. Wasn't even over as a heel. Never was. Punk comes out, and this is a little bit of a generic promo from Punk. Not exactly the pipe bombs that we're used to. Heyman starts talking for him, but then he quiets him down. We're going to get a match tonight between the two of them. It was okay, but really for Punk, this should be a little bit better. Then Vicky Guerrero's got a major announcement, and Christian finally returns. It's about fucking time. I mean, seriously, the man has been ready to come back, and they keep him off TV. They act like they've got this big, impressive roster, like, you gotta wait to come back. Holy fucking shit. The guy's been healthy for God knows how fucking long. Just like Evan Bourne. You got all these wrestlers that are ready to come back, and they're telling them to wait. Wait for what? They're acting like they're really successful and they don't have to rush anything. No, they have to have as many good wrestlers out there as possible because they're not doing very good right now. It slightly has improved in some ways over last year, but not by much. So they need to have guys like Christian there who actually know how to fucking wrestle, and have an old school appeal to them. He defeats Wade Barrett, and, how low is Wade Barrett? He's originally out there for an IC title rematch. The guy, not only does he get pinned in his match, not even The Miz gets pinned at the pay-per-view, but, Barrett gets pinned, and he gets pinned again, but, it's almost like it doesn't even fucking matter. Wade Barrett is a jobber, but Christian came back, and, I'm happy with that. Always a Christian fan. Then you've got the Rhodes Scholars defeating Sheamus. I was happy with this result. It's kind of weird, though, that you got Sandow having to kind of sneak a pin in on Sheamus. It's not like these are two small little cruiserweights. These are two guys like over 6 feet tall, 230-something pounds apiece. And they gotta act like, they're no match for Sheamus, and they have to really, do big heel tactics to win. I mean, Sheamus is a big, strong guy, but, this is like two guys, two also big guys. They ain't small guys, and two guys that are pretty impressive and deserve to have higher spots in the company. But, at least, I guess you could say at least they won the match. But I don't even know why this was on there. It was like, just a handicap match. Like, first of all, how is this fair? Why is Sheamus being punished? Usually there's a storyline behind handicap matches. Back during the Attitude Era, Triple H and Stephanie, when they were running the show, they would put The Rock in handicap matches to punish him because they were in a rivalry. Now they're just putting Sheamus into handicap matches for the hell of it. I mean, it helps when there's a story behind it, especially if it's a match like this, a match that's not fair to somebody. It would make sense. Usually, like some type of mismatch like this is explained during a storyline. But nowadays, they don't feel like they need to do that. Oh, if Vince McMahon says to the fans, basically, I don't know your shit. Doesn't owe us an explanation, doesn't owe us a goddamn thing, according to him. Then it's Orton and Daniel Bryan in the match. It's one of those voting things. I honestly didn't even bother voting for this. I voted for the last one, for the Seth Rollins one last week, but didn't bother to vote for this one. I didn't really fucking care, to tell you the truth, but for what it was decent, but they stopped the match on account of Daniel Bryan. There was stuff said about him having a zinger, a stinger, whatever. Because it's confusing. Because first, I read after it happened online that they said it was his shoulder. Then they're saying it's a stinger, which is, when you get hit hard on the head. It might have happened during the suicide dive when, he hit the barricade. It's funny, though. It's like back in the day, they never used to stop matches. I guess it was good so, they don't injure Daniel Bryan, because he is set to face Cena at SummerSlam from what I read. So I guess they got to protect him. They're trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt. But even still, they're in, they're in the Attitude Era, and just even post-Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era. Guys like Brock Lesnar still finishing matches with concussions, stingers, what have you. Guys wrestling with broken necks and, fucking ACLs torn in their legs. It's a little bit kind of lame. I'm not saying that I want Daniel Bryan to get hurt. I mean, the guy's my favorite wrestler in the company right now. So it would be a little bit hypocritical for me to say that, I want him to finish the match injured. But I'm just trying to put the comparison out there. Just how less hardcore and hard-fought matches are nowadays. Now, like I said, it was decent for what was shown. But it's just like, Orton breaks character. And he's got to hug him right then and there and kisses him right there on the screen. For a minute, I thought it was a part of an angle. But, it wasn't. They said that it wasn't part of the show. So at least, but couldn't he wait till he got backstage to fucking kiss him on camera? I mean, this is the thing. I understand. Oh, you're trying to say bad things about Orton, Brad. Now you're taking it too far. He's a nice guy. I mean, come on here. It's a fucking show. You could wait 5 minutes till you get backstage before, blowing your whole cover. This guy is supposed to be on the cusp of turning heel, supposedly, according to some sources. So I don't get it. I'm just saying, they don't think nowadays about how the audience perceives things that they see. Because it's not being perceived pretty positively, I'll tell you that. All the recent actions, what they've been doing. And all these fake concussions, Ziggler faking like another concussion, basically. It's just, it's not good. Because then when someone really gets hurt, people ain't going to know the difference with all these fake fucking injury things going on around here. What the fuck is this place? Everybody in a storyline is faking an injury. This one was real, but it just goes to show that you can't even tell them apart. It's getting ridiculous. Then it's AJ coming out, gloating about her win, saying she could beat anybody, and Stephanie McMahon comes out, and before you know it, you've got a really good segment going on here. I don't know what it was, but this was better than the CM Punk segment, like 10 times better. AJ just seemed tough. She was getting one over on Stephanie, and then there's a big brawl with her and Caitlyn. It's it's ruthless aggression. It's aggressive. There's a lot of energy involved in the promo. Trying effort. Just the girls now. The match last night. a lot of times they seem tougher than the guys, to tell you the fucking truth. I mean, this is what's going on here. I'm surprised I haven't seen anything decent from the Divas in like 5 fucking years. So excuse me if I seem a little bit surprised here, but this is kind of weird, you know, that this was actually good, but it was. And I say continue this shit. If they can continue to give us quality material like this, I say go for it. Go all out with the Divas division. Then if AJ can deliver like matches like she had last night and promos like she had tonight, you know, and try to throw in Stephanie. Do what they're doing in TNA. TNA sucks fucking dick. But you know how Hulk Hogan's daughter is running the Divas division? They should take Stephanie and put her in charge of the fucking Divas division. Make it mean something, because, you know, Stephanie's there. You know, it's lighting a fire under their asses. It would look good. You know, Stephanie, she's got the name value and everything. She's been on TV for over a decade. You know, it would mean something. It's an idea. You know, do something interesting. Because no one WWE, they'll get this fire, but they'll fail to capture it, you know. They got this fire burning, but they never do. They just let it extinguish. You know, they've done it many, many times. Many times since the Attitude Era, they have let quality opportunities, matches, storylines that were so obvious, you know, that would have been great, and they just didn't do them. It's time to capitalize. If they got something with AJ, then make it happen. Stephanie, the segment work, continue it. You know, don't go back to having a 2-minute Divas match next week, you know, with AJ getting pinned. No, build her up as a champion. Make her look strong. Have her, you know, go back and forth with Stephanie more in promos. It would work out, you know. There's a lot of talk. There is a lot of support for the Divas division. People want to see like how it used to be with Lita and Trish. You know, they could do that if they try. See, that's the thing, you know. You gotta fucking try. You know, it's not like poof, alakazam, stuff is good. No, you have to write it. You have to book it. You have to have the right people involved. People stand around scratching their heads all day long. Why was the Attitude Era so good? Because you had the right guys, the right writing. It just worked. It's kind of obvious when something's good and when something's fucking terrible. It ain't that hard to figure out, folks. But, you know, judging by the shows nowadays, you would think that it is. But, you know, this was quality, and that's what they got to continue. Then you got Kane and Dean Ambrose, and this ends in a disqualification. Just weird, you know. It ended before it even got started, basically. Then backstage, Vince McMahon, Vicky Guerrero is about to fire Dean Ambrose. Triple H said she has to make an example out of Shield, that they interfered. But Vince cuts her off before she could say anything. You can kind of see where this is going. I'll get to that in a minute. Then it's Cesaro defeating Regal, and Zeb Coulter has adopted basically Cesaro. This is probably until Swagger gets back, and then maybe there'll be a team. You know, it could be an interesting 2-man team. You know, it's a little bit weird though, this stable. I mean, what are they going to go for, the tag belts? It's interesting. I won't put it down, but Swagger just got out of a tag team and is in singles wrestling. And the last thing any of these guys need is to be thrown into a tag team. But I will keep an open mind for the moment. It is, you know, Cesaro does have talent, as does Swagger, and as does Zeb Coulter. On the mic, the man is amazing. Same thing tonight, introducing Cesaro, did a great job. It's a shame with Regal. I know Regal's a little out of shape here. Okay, maybe a lot out of shape, but whatever. I still think that the guy could still move around. He could have had a pretty decent match, but, you know, basic squash match, but a decent squash match. And did it work? They put the flag over him, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, and then they start doing the "We the People" with the hands over the heart. It's pretty good, and Michael Cole is spazzing out on commentary. Weirdly enough, the segment worked. It wouldn't sound like it by me saying it, but It worked. I was entertained. It was a good segment. Then you've got John Cena coming out, telling the crowd that's booing his ass that he loves them. You're my favorite superstar. You know, as I said, I'm not the biggest Cena hater. I give the man credit when he has good matches. His last man standing match was good. I gave it a good rating in the review. You know, I'm not one of these guys, oh, Cena sucks. He wrestles a 5-star match, but I'm still going to say it's bad. No. If Cena does good, then I will do right by him and say that his match was good. But this promo was ridiculous. You know, he's sucking up to the crowd, you know, saying, you're my favorite superstar. I know it's like a metaphor, but it sounds retarded. Like a fucking 5-year-old is saying it. You know, it's dumb. And it's, you know, it's just mocking the fans. Everybody who's a fucking fan of wrestling wants to see John Cena turn heel. Everybody in the company must know by now that everybody wants to see this motherfucker turn heel. But it won't happen because of things like this. They're still going with the rise above hate bullshit. You know, Cena's got to rise above hate. You know, he can't hate on the crowd. You know, he can't say anything bad. He's always good. He always looks on the bright side of things. Mr. Positivity. Then Mark Henry comes out and he does a retirement speech. And, you know, I kind of knew where this was going because I've just been watching wrestling for so long, but I won't take away from it. It was a very good segment and a very good mocking of, you know, how people usually retire, like Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. They're doing the whole speech. No, I'm coming home to see you, baby. Talking to the wife. And then they go to, you know, shake hands. And then it's the World's Strongest Slam. And I knew a lot of people. I was looking at it on the net. People were fooled. And these people had to say, go back and watch more wrestling. Because, you know, if you really didn't see this coming, you're not too accustomed to wrestling. Now, I know, you know, like I said, it's a good segment, but I kind of knew this was going to happen, especially with JBL saying, oh, you know, this is the only title he hasn't held. I mean, that aside, it wasn't, you know, it was a little obvious, but it was well done, enjoyable, and I started laughing when he slammed Cena. I thought it was funny. Now, this match, without a doubt, is going to be fucking horrible at the pay-per-view. I mean, you got a big, slow guy like Mark Henry going against a guy like Cena who isn't very good at wrestling larger wrestlers. Big Show, you know, for example there, he got lucky with one good match against Ryback, but then again, look how the one turned out last night. So I think this is the last thing we fucking need on a pay-per-view is Mark Henry versus Cena. But this build-up was pretty good. And you know, what was done tonight was 10 times better than anything they did during the Ryback Cena feud. That's for damn sure. It was a very good segment. And it was funny. It also had that comic relief in here too. So that was good. Very enjoyable. Then you got yourselves Jericho and Heath Slater, which I remember talking about in the past. Would have made an impressive feud if they were willing to push Slater as a singles wrestler, because it's like a wannabe rocker against a real rocker. But this was just a squash match, and it didn't serve a purpose. It was just filler, basically, just there. Not a bad squash match. You know, it wasn't like super boring and put me to sleep or anything, but it didn't need to be there. If it's not going to serve a purpose. And, you know, it's funny, earlier in the show, Triple H makes fun of 3MB for them, for Vicky Guerrero booking them on the show. So if they're that much of jokes, you know, why are they even here, basically? They're just wasting time. Then it's Curtis Axel defeating Sin Cara. You know, again, this match could have, you know, been decent if they gave it a little bit of time. But once again, just filler. And, you know, he just won the IC title. He should be wrestling some bigger matches, some better matches. But just still squash matches. Again, another like okay squash match, but in the end, that's all it is. Then they do some shit for 1-800 fella. It's some weirdo commercial. It ain't even about anything. 1-800 fella. I'm looking, you dial that on the phone, it ain't gonna even dial anything. A phone number is an area code, 1-800, and then it's usually fucking 7 digits. 1-800 fella. They show a guy choking in a commercial. Sheamus supposedly kicks him in the head, and the piece of meat flies out of his mouth. Then he sits down with a girl and pretends like he's choking and then says he's just kidding. I mean, seriously, I have to change my pants. I think I just pissed myself because of this great comedy. Who the fuck is gonna find this shit funny? As I said, you can go check out Cartoon Network. The shows for kids nowadays have more sophisticated humor. Like I said, you watch something like The Regular Show or Adventure Time, and they're actually making adult jokes on there. And WWE is doing choking jokes. That's what I say about 1-800 fella. I mean, 1-800 fella, 1-800 fail. I mean, what were they thinking here with this fucking segment? It doesn't need to be there. I mean, I'm saying I'm trying to graze through this because I want to say something good because I'm prepping for the next segment on here. I want to say something good, but it's hard to. I know it was a 1-minute segment. Calm down, Brett. Calm down. Don't watch the show if you don't like it. You know what? You know what? Then you could stop watching me and listening to me and just look at this. Let's look at this, because seriously, fucking retarded out the ass, this bullshit. Trying to be funny and failing ultimately. Just a fucking epic fail. That's just, the type of comedy. It's like you have to really sit back and just say, like, what the fuck is this? They're trying to be entertaining. How does this shit even pass as entertainment? Like, when they're putting it together, are they actually laughing at this? Who is their target audience? Who are they going for? Because 9-year-olds are not going to find that funny. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. Then it's Vince McMahon, Stephanie, and Triple H. They're all arguing with Vicky Guerrero. Oh, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Some power struggle. It's just a little bit cheesy. Like, the McMahon's acting goofy and everything. They go from Stephanie acting like a badass with AJ, which I love this segment. But this backstage was kind of killing it for me. Just, Vince McMahon is just looking very non-threatening nowadays. Aside from the fact that he is the owner of the company, he's not intimidating anymore. He's just an old man who's, giving a shitty wrestling. That's basically it. That's how he comes off on TV. And then we got ourselves the main event. It's Del Rio and CM Punk. Del Rio just basically walks out of the match. Ziggler attacks him. Match was okay. Nothing that special. They were just pretty much wasting time. And then Brock Lesnar comes out. Yes, folks. They were teasing it all night. It's pretty obvious now. Brock comes in. He's about to say something to CM Punk. Drops the mic and just F5s his ass. Awesome. I cannot wait for this fucking match. Let me give you some predictions or some hopeful things that I want to happen in this feud. Next week, Heyman comes out. Should tell Punk how dare he not respect Heyman. Should be like this. He should do a whole entire turn on Punk. Then they should set up a match. Don't do something stupid like put RVD in the Money in the Bank. If he's only a part-time wrestler, he doesn't need to be in that fucking match. put him in a match with CM Punk. They wanted to do this match. This is what Heyman wanted to do when they brought back ECW. He wanted to have an ECW title match between CM Punk and RVD. And now they could have the match. Rob Van Dam at Money in the Bank should face CM Punk. And just because it's his return doesn't mean RVD has to win. In fact, it would be better if Punk pins RVD. Pins a legend, gets a little bit of fanfare for it, and then leads into the match against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. I think that would be spectacular. That whole program there, if they do it right, I would have no complaints. Even if the build-up on TV ain't that great. As long as we just get Brock and Punk, as a matter of fact, I will be happy for a long time. I'm greatly looking forward to this match. It's the two guys until tonight haven't even touched each other because they're from two separate eras in the company. Brock wasn't even there when Punk first came. So to see them, like just doing this thing in the ring was incredible. Just a great moment. And the F5 was just the icing on the cake. If they insert RVD into this feud, it would only make it 10 times more epic. I am begging the WWE. They have a golden opportunity to have an amazing angle here that could be remembered for a long time. And if they do this angle here, it will be the best moment of 2013. I am strongly putting, I know it's not wise to get your hopes up with WWE or anything for that matter, but I am going to raise my expectations. I think that Punk and Brock will be the best match of the year. It has so much fucking potential. I mean, I will lose all faith if the match doesn't come out good, because for all intents and purposes, it should be an awesome match. And just, RVD, not as good as he used to be. He's an older version of himself, but he could at least give a decent match to Punk at Money in the Bank to set it up. That's all I'm saying. Overall, as I said, match-wise, not that great, but you had a lot of memorable moments tonight. And for the most part, it wasn't really boring. It was entertaining. There was a lot of shit to complain about. But for the most part, after this, with the Brock CM Punk thing, with that segment alone, because that, for me, just being a massive fan of both guys and just wanting to see that match for so long. If people ask me, why do I still watch the product even though I complain about it week after week? It's because I'm waiting for shit like this. Fucking awesome moments. This is why I don't stop watching, because I'm afraid I'll miss something great like this. And you see, when they do something good, I will say something good about it, okay? So that puts to rest me just bashing the company for the hell of it. Alright? Okay. So, good show, I guess you could say. Not from a match standpoint, but from memorable and just, good moments. Yeah, this Raw had that. So I guess you could say it wasn't too shabby of a show.